Serendipity is when we discover something by accident, and I had a serendipitous moment a little while ago that I wanted to share with you. It might help you with your plant journey if you are a little bit crazy like I am. A little while ago, I conducted an experiment. I saw that people were using pebble trays to raise the relative humidity in the air. And I wasn't convinced it was going to work, so I tested it out. And for this experiment, I purchased a bunch of humidity meters. And so after the experiment, I just had them lying around. The results of my experiment was that the pebble trays were able to raise the relative humidity just above the pebble tray by 2 or 3%, not really worth it. And actually Lee from Kill This Plant redid my experiment recently, and you really should check out his video. There is a link in the description below. He does a fantastic job, as he always does. But anyway, I had a bunch of these humidity meters lying around, and I happened to have a handful on my desk, and I made some observations. So I had this plant on my desk. This plant is probably, even though this channel's about avocados, this one's probably my favorite in my whole collection. This is my Monstera Deliciosa Thai Constellation. It was a gift as just a 2-leaf cutting from one of my subscribers, and it has grown beautifully over the last few years. As you can see in this video, it was a bit smaller there, but it was sitting on my desk, and I happened to have a humidity meter right next to it. And I had one only about 30 or 40 centimeters away, and I noticed that the two read differently. The humidity meter that was next to the terracotta pot read about 10% higher than the one that was further away. So I wanted to check that everything was okay. So I moved it away so that they were next to each other, and they corrected. So I moved it back, and again, it changed. I switched the instruments around so that they had the opposite humidity meter next to the pot and the one that was on the pot in the open air. And yet again, they showed that the humidity right next to the pot was higher than the one further away. I was wondering, is something strange happening here? Why is the humidity reading higher if it's close to the pot? Is something wrong? And then I realized that no, terracotta is a fairly porous material, meaning that there are lots of microscopic holes in the pot. So the pot is full of these tiny little holes. We often don't think of terracotta as having holes in it unless there is a drainage hole in the bottom, but terracotta is full of these microscopic holes through which water can escape. It's not much good for anything else to get through, except maybe some of the minerals that are in the water, which is actually why we get these funky patterns around the pot. They are minerals that are being transported with the water. Then as the water evaporates, they crystallize because they're not getting evaporated because they are minerals. A lot of this comes from the fertilizer that we use with our plants. It's pretty cool. So the water that's in the soil is gradually, getting used by the plant, certainly, but also getting wicked away by the terracotta in the pot, and then it gets evaporated into the atmosphere. So I thought that that was pretty cool, but then I realized that I could use this to my advantage. I hate root rot. Root rot is often a fungal and sometimes an algae infestation of a plant. It happens in low oxygen and high moisture environments, and typically happens when we overwater or when something cannot drain properly. I quite like planting houseplants in terracotta because terracotta is porous and it wicks moisture away. They can't stay too wet for too long. It helps them to drain. So paired with a well-draining soil, it can help us to prevent root rot. But overwatering can still cause root rot to set in. So I use things like moisture meters to avoid overwatering. I wait for things to be fairly dry, and often fully dry, before I will water. I realized that if I left one of these humidity meters next to the pot and another one in the same room, I could use that comparison to determine when the plant needs watering. So at the moment, this one is reading at 64%, and the one in the room is reading at 55%, which tells me that this one doesn't need watering just yet. I generally wait for them to get to within 3 or 4% before I will water. I don't need it to dry out totally, but it's telling me that the water content in here is getting pretty low and it's due for a drink. So in the summer, I'm expecting that this number will go down over the next few days and I'll need to be watering again in a couple of days' time, but at the moment, it's not ready for watering and it's doing fine. I know that this system is working okay because I made the initial observations well over a year ago, and this plant is thriving. I'm really pleased that I was able to make this serendipitous observation and discovery to help me to care for my plants. Now, I'm not going to go and do this for every single one, but if I had them in terracotta, I could. And that would help me to know for sure, just by looking, when the soil is starting to get dry. I was really pleased to discover this and I wanted to share it with you because perhaps you have a bunch of humidity meters lying around and you wanted to know what to do with them. You can only measure the humidity in a room so many times, and this might just be something that you can do. Also, if you have a humidity meter and you want to get the relative air humidity, probably best not to put it right next to a terracotta pot because it's going to affect the humidity right around it because it's putting water out through it, it's evaporating, and that evaporated water affects the humidity of a space. So you want to get accurate readings. Don't let the terracotta change that. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would love to know about your serendipitous plant discoveries in the comments below. What did you discover when you weren't setting out to discover something? What surprised you? What amazed you? What filled you with curiosity and wonder? That might be a bit of a push, but I do have a YouTube channel where I talk about things that inspire me with curiosity and wonder, and that's pretty cool. I invite you to check it out, especially if you found this kind of video interesting. Thank you once again for watching. If you enjoyed this particular video, make sure you're subscribed to Scott Grows an Avocado Tree. I know this one wasn't specifically about avocados, but it is plant related, so I thought I'd share it here with you. And you've seen this plant before in the past. It's one of my favorites. I can't get enough of this. Look at those leaves, it's gorgeous. That'll do for now though. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and we'll see you next time. Hello Luna, are you gonna play with my microphone?
Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree. Scott grows an avocado tree.